Hello and welcome to the channel. Yes, today we are talking about Patrick Bamford's redemption. A hell of a lot of people don't like him, a hell of a lot of people didn't like him, but he's proving so many people wrong right now. Many people had written him off after 2 years of fairly poor performances, but he has been significantly better this season, so I'm going to take a look at what he was like in the past, what he's like now, and ultimately what changed to put him into his current position. But first, subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. It just helps out. Cheers. So, I'm going to go back to his first season in the Premier League as sort of an idea of what good Patrick Bamford looked like. The early Premier League year, the first one under Marcelo Bielsa, and he was a key part of Marcelo Bielsa's attack that year. In the same way that he is under Daniel Farke, he knew perfectly well how to bring his teammates into play. He knew those little bits of interplay. You knew with Bielsa that it'd be a little bit mechanical looking at times. Everyone knew where everyone else would be, and the systems and patterns of play were absolutely stunning every single game. And he knew perfectly how to play into that system, how to work, and ultimately how to find the back of the net. A lot of people underrate this about him and say that he's not a very good finisher. He finished as the 4th top scorer in the Premier League that season. He was behind only Harry Kane, Mo Salah, and Heung-min Son. And when you look at it, it's completely understandable that he got that England call-up. He only got the one. He got one cap. He didn't score in it because, weirdly, I think England were playing San Marino and then an actual country. And for some reason, they didn't play Bamford against San Marino, where he's likely to score. That feels rude. I don't like Gareth Southgate for that. But after that first season in the Premier League, he had a nice foundation from which to keep building, keep growing, keep playing his good football. But what happened next wasn't ideal for him at all. Have a look at his first season in the Premier League. He didn't have a single game missing due to injury. Occasionally he'd be rotated out a little bit or have a little knock, but he wouldn't have extended periods on the sideline, but that changed very quickly. The season after that, he missed 35 games, including, the games he played included the one against Wolves, where he scored a goal and then proceeded to injure himself. And I can't remember the other two, but he didn't have a big impact because he wasn't available in the slightest, which was a massive problem. The next year, he missed another 5 games, and you might think, okay, that's not too bad. That's sort of standard for a season of football. But when you have a look at things, everything had changed. When he was previously playing consistent football, he was doing so under Marcelo Bielsa in a rigorous, highly tactical system where everyone knew what their role was. And his new manager was Jesse Marsch, who, from everything that we've heard, was a little bit more vibes-based, was a little bit more use your aggression and fight the other team and you will deserve the points and that sort of thing. And very, very basic footballing ideas like the goals in the middle of the pitch, which, on the face of it, fine. But when you've gone as a footballer from highly structured, highly regimed training and football matches into this without any transition period, because he's gone from that to injured. Everyone else had time to transition between the two training regimes, and they would go, right, okay, so I can get a little bit more used to this now. On the other hand, Bamford was just hurt through it, so he immediately had to snap back into training, but a completely different type of training to him. In addition to that, we're on bad form. The side was dreadful and not performing to any sort of reasonable standard. And ultimately, it was bad form, bad manager, and that led to a bad return. And you need to consider the sort of player that Patrick Bamford is on top of that as well. We know that he's a confidence player. We know that he's someone that, when he's playing well, he will play well for an extended period of time because he's streaky, because whilst he is confident, he plays well, but when he gets those confidence knocks, like you're going to get when you're in a bad side, like the one that was Jesse Marsch's, you're not going to play well. Look at the case of missing a penalty, for example. That's going to hurt your confidence. And you combine that with playing under Marsch, Gracia, and Big Sam. I don't see how any player can thrive in that environment. So I think, although it's fair to criticise him for what's happened over the past 2 seasons, I don't quite think it's fair to say that it was inexcusable, because there were tons of reasons for that to happen. But thankfully, he then went on a big ol' revival. Back in the Championship, start of the season, people still wanted rid of Patrick Bamford. People were still calling him useless, saying that he couldn't finish, all of this stuff. And it's understandable to have that opinion at first, But then he started to prove people wrong. He came back in December and has absolutely shone. He has been the bright light in this Leeds United side for me. And that's why he's one of my favourite Leeds United players, I think, because when he does well, the entire side does well. For example, he has the most goals per 90 of any Leeds United player this season, followed only by Crescencio Somerville on 9.5. He's vastly clear of Somerville on that metric, and in addition to that, he's had the best shooting accuracy of his career so far. 48.8%, which means that every one of his 2 shots, they're on target. So that's the thing that most people critique Patrick Bamford for, not being able to take his shots and put it on target. He does. As I mentioned, most goals per 90 and the best shooting accuracy of his career. I think he's one of the most accurate shooters in that Leeds United front line at the minute, and that is fantastic. That's what we need, and it's clear that he's been training properly, because that's sort of led to these performances on the pitch. And in addition to that, we've not lost a single match that he has started this season. Yes, he got some minutes earlier in the year when we're on that little bit of a slump. But since he started, whenever he's started off games, set the rhythm, set the tempo, we've not lost. He didn't play in the loss against Chelsea, and everything else has been wins and the occasional draw. Ultimately, he changes the way that we play for the better because he completely restructures the front line around him. He means that Ruter can drop comfortably into that number 10 role with a little bit more space. Somerville and Nonto have that little inward 1-2 ball that they can play because they know that someone's going to be waiting there in the 9 position, which, as much as Pirou is a good footballer, that's not what he does. And he makes their defences weaker as well. He means that their centre-backs are a lot more distracted, so when you have those late runners from midfield, such as Glenn Kamara, who pushes up to be a little bit of a playmaker, that especially helps. He makes space for everyone around him, and I think that's been a key part of his redemption. And in conclusion, I think Patrick Bamford is an excellent player when he has had a good manager. Everyone dogs on Patrick Bamford for those 2 Premier League seasons he wasn't very good. One of those seasons he played 3 matches. The other of those seasons he was managed by Jesse Marsh and nobody looked good. I think when he has a good coach, when he knows what his role is, Patrick Bamford is a fantastic number 9. And he does everything that you could possibly ask of him. But ultimately, I want to know what you think. Have I changed your mind on Patrick Bamford? If so, let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't yet. You could even be a channel member. I think it's a couple of quid a month or something like that. Either way, it's hugely appreciated. I will see you later. Do you reckon I do one on Junior Firpo next? I might just start going through all of my favourite players and go, actually, they're really good, and here's why. That could be quite fun. See you later.